Hey everyone, Cahlen here, and today I'm going to be showing you my survival poncho. So this is a poncho made by Helicontex, which is a survival clothes and equipment company that I get a lot of my stuff from because it's really good stuff. And basically this serves as my raincoat. It also serves as my bivy sack, which is a waterproof layer over your sleeping bag. And it can also serve as my shelter. I used this as my shelter for most of last year, including like half of the winter. So this thing, also it's very light and as you can see, very compact. So this thing does a lot, and I definitely recommend having a poncho of some kind and learning how to use it. So I'm gonna go through today each of those different things, and let's start with the actual raincoat. So to do that, I'm gonna have to put on, so Helicontex also makes something called the Swagman's Roll, which is my sleeping bag and my winter coat. And you can also just use it as a blanket and stuff like that. So it's basically the same exact shape. It's got a hood, it's got insulation in it. And in order to show you how this works with the poncho, I'm gonna use this. So I can just put the poncho on over anything, even if I'm wearing a backpack. Okay, so here's the Swagman's Roll on. Remember, it's my coat and my sleeping bag and a blanket. And now I'm gonna throw the poncho on over the top of it. Now this, I'm basically rainproof at this point. This will fit over a backpack again. It doesn't give too much room, so that's not actually something I do. I recommend having a waterproof sack that goes over your backpack. But anyways, so that's this thing. Let me get back a little bit. You can see, pretty sweet. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I set it up into sleeping bag mode with the bivy sack on it. I just took it off. It's all lined up for me wearing it. Took it off, and it's got these little toggles that you just stick through, and now it's attached to it. And you do that in all four sides, and then you fold it over. Okay, so I'm going to come to this side, and here is the start of a zipper. And I'm just going to zip it all the way up. Okay, now that it's zipped, I'm going to come and seal up the bivy sack here, or the poncho, with these buttons. So these are buttons that you can clip in. This is a female end, this is a male end, and this is a female end, and this is a male end. So it makes it like you have different options of how you want to actually do this. So you just go and do it to the whole thing. Okay, so we've got the sleeping bag. This is where you crawl in. And this is good for the summer and also into, yeah, I think it probably covers about half the year if you're wearing warm clothes. And then, of course, you have the hoods, which you need to seal up so that they're not leaking all your warmth. And they have the little drawstrings here, which let you do that. Okay, next we'll be showing you how to make a shelter out of it. There's lots of configurations that you can do with a poncho to make shelter, but I'll just show you the one that I used for most of last year and the one that I like the most. So with this tool kit, basically it has a bunch of stakes and rope in here, which I'll show you in a second. I can set up a shelter with the poncho. Okay, so this is just the stuff sack that my down booties came with, the basically puffy socks for staying warm while I'm sleeping in the cold. And I like to reuse the stuff, the bags that they come in, things that camping things come in, because they're often quite good. So anyways, in here are a bunch of, well, there's lots of things in here. There's a titanium spork, there's a toothbrush, and then there are a bunch of these shepherd hook stakes, which are titanium and very light. And I use these as both stakes and as toggles, which I'll show you, which is actually more how I use them, because they don't hold too well on the ground if it gets windy. And then 3 of these V stakes. These hold really well, and they have rope tied to them, and I'll show you why we do that. And then we have basically a prepared set of line, of rope, which is set up in a very specific way. It's called the Rapid Ridge Line. It's something that's kind of popular in the survival community, and you can see how to make it if you go to cahlen.org/gear and you click on the Rapid Ridge Line, I think is what I call it there. It'll take you to a video on YouTube that shows you how to make this, and also I'll make a video about it in the future, but it's a super helpful thing to have. Okay, so basically you want to tie it between two vertical things, two trees, two fence posts, two vertical anythings. And you basically just take this end that has this little loop on it that we've tied, and you pull it, and because of the way we wrapped it, it just pulls out. It just keeps pulling out until it's all gone, and it's very easy to wrap it. So basically you want to go around here. First you have to pull these things. You got these little loops, and we'll show you about those. Pull those down, wrap it around something, poke the long end through the hole, and then you put the toggle in there. And now you have, it's not going to go anywhere, but we can pull it out instantly, right? The idea here is it's easy to put up, and it's also easy to take down really quickly in case you need to get out of where you are because of, you know, some sort of situation. So anyways, we'll leave these up here and we'll tie the other end to something. Okay, so the light's not great for you to see exactly what's happening over here, but there's a way for tying this which is very specific, and it also makes it easy to quickly release it. And I'll just do it and you can look up the specifics. And again, I can just yank this and then yank this that way and it's going to release. Okay, so I got the line going across. I just want to point out that I wouldn't put it here because these branches are going to kind of be in my way, but it's the only good spot that I had to show you this nearby to where I am. So basically we're going to pull these things down now. So you can see basically these are wrapped around the line, and they had this little loop here that we're going to use with those stakes again to make a toggle to attach. This will be the top end of the tarp corner, and this will go all the way down here. Actually, we'll probably tie it to the hood. That's what we'll do this time. So this is just one corner of the poncho. Stick the loop through, stick the toggle through, and again, you can just use sticks for all of these. And when I pull on it, it stays, right? I can still move it manually, but when I pull on it like this, it stays where it is. Okay, now I'm going to take one of these V-stakes and I'm going to toggle in the rope into this corner. I'm going to pull it tight and stick it into the ground. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here on the side corner. Okay, so you can kind of see how it fits, and I'm not going to do that corner because the line's going to go through the fence, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to show you the last thing here, which is putting the hood, pulling up to give you more space inside. So basically it's got this rope. You'd want to wrap it around this to make sure that this is sealed off, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to toggle the hood to this other thing that we slid down here and then slide it. And now I have a lot more room in there. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I actually store it away for travel when I'm not using it. So this is my sleeping pad that I made. I'm going to have a separate video on this. Basically rolls out and it's insulated with aluminum inside, and it's protected by all-weather permanent Gorilla Tape on the other side. And then it just has a thermarest ridge rest that was cut in half. And this thing I can sleep on, and in the winter even, maybe not the coldest of nights, but in the winter and still be warm. So basically this will be the outside shell of my bedroll, which will include the poncho and the swagman's roll. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this underneath the top here, and then I'm going to come start the roll down here. And you want it to be as tight as possible because that's going to affect how wide this thing gets. Okay, so now I'm at the point where I've reached the sleeping pad, and so I'm going to bring the sleeping pad up over it. So here I have a bedroll which I can attach to the bottom of my backpack. So you can see that the sides are poking out, and that's not good if you're going to be going in a place that has lots of branches and stuff like that. So you'd want to fold it over on itself, which is going to make it thicker around when you roll it up. But even in that state, I can still attach this with the straps to my backpack, or even my belt. So that's the survival poncho. I think you agree it's a pretty ingenious system, and the company Swagman, Helicon Tech, did a really good job of pairing the Swagman roll and the poncho together to make it useful for lots of situations. So if you're looking for living outside and you want a versatile setup without not having to have too many things that are too bulky or way too much, then this combination I think is a really good way to go. So, but even just the poncho by itself makes a really good shelter, and it makes a really good raincoat. So also you could use it as a sheet. If it's really wet on the ground, you could sleep on top of it as well. So anyways, that's the poncho. Hope that's useful, and I'll check in with you guys later.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider sharing it. If you'd like to help me out in a more substantial way, you can learn how to do so at cahlen.org/gift. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with me, whether publicly or privately, you can learn how to do so at cahlen.org/one-on-one. Thanks again for watching.